Hello, I'm Lucy HG. I'm the co-founder of Cuckoo Apps, which is an iPhone and iPad app design and development company. Well, I just become self-employed, so I just started out and I had to obviously bring business in, and I didn't feel comfortable really in going out and sort of selling myself. I was finding that I'd go out and network, for instance, and I'd introduce myself and then it just didn't really go anywhere. So in a way I looked at it as something that would help me, find out a bit more about myself and what was it about me that I could sell to people, essentially. The discovery process was really interesting, actually. As the word says, it's a discovery process, so it takes a little bit of time to sort of happen. I really liked the way that in our sessions you'd ask me questions, which I didn't have an answer for there and then for some of those, but in time I answered those to myself. Probably discussing it with yourself, but the fact that you just sort of dropped the penny and then it happened within me. So it was one of those things where I didn't really know where we were going or where I was going to get to, so it was definitely about the journey.
So you gain more clarity through. Did you gain more clarity from doing that process?
Yes, definitely. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself and what I suppose the weak points as well as the positive points. So I think that helped me a lot, actually. You made me aware of the good things about myself, not just the things that I wasn't happy with. So working on the positives as well. It was really exciting, actually, to think that you were contacting people who I knew to certain, different degrees, who were going to be completely honest about exactly what they thought about me. From my appearance to the way I carry myself to what impression I cause. And obviously, you're never going to get that honesty if you ask somebody in person. And the fact that you did that, and some of the things that came out, I was quite. Some of the things I was quite surprised, and then other things I was delighted because there were positive things that came out of it, and then there were a few things which I thought, right, well, I need to work on that, and maybe improve it or slightly change it, or so yeah, brilliant, really, really helpful. And as I say, it's the fact that it becomes honest, just completely honest feedback from your network, who might just be a bit too polite maybe to tell you that. It's not easy to tell people exactly what you think sometimes. So. I think I found out that there were things, not that there weren't things that were quite right with me, but there were things that were holding me back. So I suppose discovering that I had head trash that was actually stopping me from doing things that I either quite fancied doing or thought I might like to try, and there were things that I saw as being an important part of myself and my business, of going forward, of promoting myself. So things like self-belief, that was a big issue, working on self-belief, and. Well, I'd like to say I've come leaps and bounds on that one, really. Obviously, there's still days when you think, but because I've been made aware of the lack of self-belief, and because we worked on it, if at any point I might think, oh, I know that it's something to be worked on, if you see what I mean.
So what was different? What is there one thing you can pick that was different before, that you can say, oh my God, I would never have done that before, and now I can't believe I'm doing this?
There's a couple of things, actually, and that it probably involves public talking, I guess. So there's two different things. There's one which is when I had a radio station, BBC Nottingham contacted me and says, oh, would you like to, appear on a radio programme, a call-in, and you'll be interviewed about your use of social media as a business, which there's no way I would have done that. I'd have been way too sort of scared and self-conscious about it. And I just said, yes, I'll do it. And then I did it. I absolutely loved it. Really, really enjoyed it. And then actual public speaking in front of an audience, I wouldn't have been very comfortable with that at all. And now I'd seek any opportunity really to be presenting in front of people and to tell people about what I do and all that. So from that point of view, and again that was self-belief, that was also confidence, you know, being worried about what people might think or about being judged, that sort of thing. Yeah, so last week I spoke in London in front of 60 entrepreneurs about apps, and I loved every minute of it. So yeah, that's definitely something that's changed. That's a big thing.
And what else have you experienced as a change in terms of doing the work that we did together?
Well, I think my appearance or my choice of clothing, that's been a big one. Before, in a very sort of graphic designer way, or a Steve Jobs way you could say, you know, I had a selection of black clothing. So I had a drawer full of black tops, I had a wardrobe full of black trousers. It was all, I used to be a bit excited and go for greys, maybe, you know, shades of it. And now basically I just go for patterns, I go for bright colours, I go for eye-catching clothes, not things that I don't hide under the clothes, if you see what I mean. I express myself through my clothes. Which I discovered, I looked through my wardrobe and I actually thought, oh, do you know what? I've got a really good collection of patterns, and I've got a whole set of Instagram photos of all my patterned clothes. So I don't really have any more black clothes anymore, which I think shows shows how I've changed. I've sort of flourished, I suppose, in that sense. How it's helped me, it's helped me express myself a little bit better.
And when you think back to the challenge that you had originally that caused you to want to sort out your brand, in terms of like introducing yourself in networking events, how do you deal with that now? How is networking for you now?
It's definitely a lot easier, and I actually find myself talking to just about anybody and everybody. I no longer hide in the corner of the room. I actually seek out to talk to people who I think might feel a bit uncomfortable or they look like I felt, say, 3 years ago, for instance. So I find it much easier to introduce myself, I find it much easier to tell them about myself, tell them about my business, basically tell them a story about myself, really. I think that was the crux of it, really, not being conscious of the fact that I've got a story to tell, that I've got something to say, really, and of being confident in telling it and being proud of it as well. So,
is there anything else you'd like to say to other people thinking about working on their brand, or any advice? Or
I definitely recommend having a go at looking at it. Basically, it's something you have to tackle at the end of the day, especially if you're working for yourself, or if you're in a position of if you're a manager, or if you've got to command respect as well. If it's you who embodies a brand, who embodies the product that you sell, maybe, or your own business, you've got to get it right, and you've got to feel happy and confident with that. And the process helped me to feel a lot more confident about myself, and I think that's reflected in the fact that I've been able to make a living out of what I do, in a way that had I not had that help, I don't think I would have got there as quickly as I did. Basically, I needed that help, and also I can now look back and take on that. If at any point I think, I'm not sure about this, there's no two ways about it. I can do it because I know that I was at a weak point, and then I came through it. So I definitely recommend. Well, for instance, your taster sessions are a really good way of understanding how it works and how you can work through it. So I definitely recommend that sort of thing for starters, and then obviously working with yourself, it's, you know, I found it really, really good and helpful. So yeah.